Welcome back, folks, to Cosmic Brilliance and to the holiday season. Joy to the galaxy. So today we are privileged to once again have Dr. Amir Jahangiri, who I believe is one of the earliest creator beings involved in this whole amazing game. As spoken of in the previous show, just as a gentle reminder, he has 7 degrees, including engineer, scientist, inventor, teacher, healer, and is also, as you're about ready to see, a protectorate creator dragon in a human body, of course. So, needless to say, he has a great wealth of knowledge and is a brilliant colleague. I am very blessed to introduce Amir to those of you again. And Amir, my clients have so enjoyed and benefited from your efficient clearing of their blockages, as well as the incredible gift of introducing them to who they are in their highest self. And so thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you very much. I'm honored by your grace and kindness. And I would like to extend my warmest greetings to our wonderful audience. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're doing extremely well. It's a great pleasure and privilege to be here with you. Thank you for your valuable time. And I hope that you find our friendly discussion beneficial.
Okay, good. And I just have a little gentle reminder, which appears to be needed from feedback I got for clarity, folks, that I need to say for first-time viewers who just tuned in to Cosmic Brilliance for the first time, you may find yourself a little lost because we go by order with each unique guest we have. You need to start at the first show. That would be incredibly helpful because we don't have a lot of time to repeat same steps. We go deeper and deeper, and we define terms usually early on. So make sure and check that out and watch as much in order as you can. And by the way, all shows are on podcasts. You just go to Cosmic Brilliance on the homepage, and you can also listen to them while you walk your dog. Today, you're going to want to see some really special pictures, so you may want to watch it. Okay, so those are the reminders. And let's start. So, Amir, as you have mentioned before, and we're going to pick up from part 1, go a little deeper, that this is an extremely pivotal time on Earth. And personally, I find it very exciting because all of the amazing light workers and creator beings that were courageous enough to come here, and I am still confident we will be successful. So, I imagine you have close to full memory, whereas a lot of us are regaining our memory. And as I mentioned, one of the earliest creator beings involved in this universal game that we are trying to understand, learn more about, so that we have less fear and we empower ourselves with that knowledge to navigate through it artfully. And you called this game, so it cracked me up, the unnatural evolution of the mighty humans. So let's start first. All of you have probably been introduced to Ileana the Star Traveler, who is a mutual colleague of Amir and mine. And she just produced, hot off the press, her new book called Ancient History of Lyran Crystalline Healing Chambers, along with studies of Atlantian dragons of the eternal void. And inside this book are 98 pictures that Amir has so generously given his permission, which is a big deal. It's a big deal to reveal one's lifetimes, all as a dragon protectorate from the beginning of creation through Atlantis and onwards. So I am going to hold up one at a time 6 of those pictures and have him describe a little bit more as to my questions. Will that work for you, Amir?
Sure, I'll do my absolute best.
The first one is you as Sorel, the Black Dragon Protectorate of the Void. Now, Ileana says that the void is the eternal entrance to the various cosmos and universes. I had you describe and let people know what it feels like in the void in our first show. Would you be able, while people are looking at this incredible picture of you as a black dragon soaring through the void, explain a little bit more about what your duties are as a black dragon?
It is a joyful and playful game of existence. This is true in all levels of existence. This does not only fall true for one particular species or being. Um, Life itself is grace, it is beauty, it is elegance. And so, in the opposite side is nothingness and stillness, just the fundamental rules of existence. And so one wishes to add grace, beauty, harmony, and joy to that which is stagnant. And that is the game of life. The creation of life must be carefully initiated, safeguarded. Life needs to be cultivated so that it may continue on the path of evolution of consciousness. So there is no beginning or end. Time is just the limitation of the physical realm. So it is all ongoing as we speak. Different aspects of each and every one of us can be accessed. And so we may observe ourselves in different roles, depending on how open we are and how liberated we are, particularly in human vessels. The role is the creation of the fundamentals. It's like creating the steel skeleton structure of a skyscraper. And then the details can be filled in. Houses are built, and then the individual occupants decorate each house according to their own taste. So it's there are levels to this. The very creation of universes. What are the laws that are put in place? Gravitation, radiation, how fast is light? How do electrons dance around the center of an atom in discrete bands of energy? These are all carefully tuned. And if these stages are not performed correctly, certain universes are incapable of hosting life. They are infertile. And so that brings about what, as human beings, we are involved in a guaranteed unnatural evolution. Very specific types of life are required for tough environments. Those universes where the laws are unfavorable. And so, this type of project of unnatural evolution through simulated reality is a thing. It goes on. It has been going on for a very long time. And so the outcome of this is the mighty human, the most resilient and adaptable uh, being in the cosmos. And I say this with a great deal of confidence and not looking at these current vessels. These aren't the whole thing. There's much more, many more varieties of information and codes, not just in the physical body, but in our energetic structure. And so I probably am jumping a little bit ahead, but that's okay. We can go into more detail as required. The whole thing is ready. We are ready to be used as the seed of life. The mighty humans now can adapt, not just survive, but thrive in domains of existence where no other species can. And so that's one of the purposes of this whole universal matrix. So I hope I've managed to answer adequately.
Yeah, so you as the one of the major protectorates and dragons of the void early on and also simultaneous in your lives, uh you literally through your imagination, you've been given the trust and the honor from Prime Creator and all that is to create the whole scaffolding, the whole ambience, the whole like the engineer, the inventor, and the scientist you are. Is that
That
correct?
that seems to be correct. And so it's a major undertaking. And so there are many levels to this. From the birth of the universe, before this occurs, Usually it precedes and it usually comes after the natural death of a previous one. And so the birth and death of universes can be likened to a breathing process of a sentient being. One goes through its lifespan and another is born. And so before this occurs, there's an opportunity of modifying the properties, the universal laws. And so once they are set into motion, then individual parts are brought in to existence. It's a process of manifestation in a grand scale. And so one of the best positions to initiate manifestation, and this is true no matter what scale we are speaking of, would be embodying the energy and sentience located in the primordial divine void, where all things are possible, yet nothing consolidated into a single and solid form. And so um, galaxies are formed. They spiral out as if it is a gentle and delicate ballet. Suns are born. Planetary systems are formed. And then there are others down the line that take care of the properties of mother planets, planets that can give rise to life. So the boundaries and the properties become significantly more strict. And so all the way down to the very, let's say, circumstances where life, physical life can emerge. That's the end process pretty much, where then the experiment begins. And so then consciousness can embody vessels. This is not limited to physicality either. There are many types of vessel energetic constructs that can host consciousness. Um, so yes, many, many different beings are involved in different stages of this beautiful process, but the objective seems to be unified. Life is grace, life is beauty, life is elegance. And so this gives great joy. In fact, it is the reason for being for many wonderful, wonderful souls.
Now, did you have to take, so we're talking like many of us are at denied creator statuses and things like that. Did you have to take and of course, this is secret, so we don't want to know what it is, but did you have to take the creator rules and pass the qualifications to have the privilege to do this?
Um, this is not quite like the legal system that we use amongst humanity. It is right through merit. And so once a certain soul evolves sufficiently, that is the natural consequence of reaching certain stages of evolution. We observe this in humanity right now. As we have evolved sufficiently, now we are giving birth to the next species, which is artificial in nature. Life is not artificial. Life is one of the natural byproducts of the laws of this current universe. And so it emerges in great variety. So once one becomes sufficiently evolved, what else is there to do but to create? And once you create, why would you not create it beautifully and elegantly? And so this seems to be a common theme across the infinite fractal of existence. And so many actually come into competition, a healthy, joyful competition. Look at what I have created. Look how beautiful my creation is. Like any artist, writer, poet, singer, it's as above, so below. So these are easy to understand and to feel and embody.
Yes, and I know you're not allowed to tell us the amount, but I would imagine there's quite a lot of other void dragons and the whole mechanics of creation, right? There's quite a lot.
This is correct. Um, there's a bidirectional flow of consciousness, the floating of bubbles towards the surface, and then the denser matter coming down. None is better than the other. It's all part of this circulation of consciousness. And so the infinite fractal of existence is very much so infinite. And so universes are created um, all the time. And so there are many of all types and all castes with all different levels of responsibility. However, it is true that amongst this infinitely large collective, some shine brighter
Mm-hmm.
and some mess up terribly.
I was going to say, is there, because of the 100% free will universe that we're in, I mean, if one wants to explore a negative universe, do they actually do that? Is it allowed like 10% of the time, or do you know, or is it all pretty much beneficent and you're going to do the best you can, or you're not allowed?
All things that are possible occur. There's no limitation. Some universes are terribly skewed towards the dark, some are terribly skewed towards the light. And it seems as you move out or zoom out and observe the whole thing, there's a balance in the chaos. So this is built into the architecture of all there is. Ultimately, balance emerges. And so then there are interactions between certain universes, or at least members from certain universes, towards each other, which results in the balancing out of excessive light or the balancing out of excessive darkness. And this beautiful ballet of evolution continues.
Dynamic balance, right? Yeah. So is it always kind of a polarity game in that way, or the light dark dance?
Many forms of geometry are possible. It's up to the imagination of the founder beings of each universe what they want to do. It seems here we went with something very, very simple, a plus and a minus. And so two equal and opposite poles, each pulling all there is. And then there's this sacred point where they nullify each other, leading to the path of least resistance for evolution. And so once one becomes drawn too closely to one pole, resistance increases. And at a certain point, it is as the resistance is infinite. So
Mhm.
extreme dark or extreme light are both barred from this flow of consciousness. You become solidified, and that is not a desirable thing. It should be a gentle balance. As you learn, you experience both sides. Sometimes you may go a little too far, and then you come back to balance. Sometimes you may go too far on the other side, and then you come back to balance.
Because most of this is a, so to speak, a long-term game. It's not a short-term game. Like 100 or 200 years is considered no big deal or anything like that.
That is true. The entire lifespan of a universe is no big deal. And so universes live for a considerable duration, and one can think of them as individual schools or universities where they have graduating students. And then an entire soul group may wish to migrate from one universe to another to experience the variation in conditions so that they can evolve even further, experience greater variety. And so these types of migrations are ongoing, they're continuous.
That makes sense. Before we show the next picture, a question that arose for me, because I'm not very experienced in this, is so we're talking about the void that appears dark to people. And you were explaining that all things can be dissolved in it and all things can be created in it. Now, is that a completely different thing than dark matter?
It's representations down the scale of dimensions of the same principle. Um, most most volume is the void. It seems to be the boom that existence is painted upon. And so just because there's yet an absence of light, because light comes two levels of hierarchy below the void is all possibility, all consciousness, everything that can be, all in one place. And then vibration starts. in the form of geometry and sound. And then as the vibrations become faster, it becomes luminous, light. And then from the primordial, let's say, materials, um, dimensionality is created. And so then density increases, levels of separation from the true soul is increased. And then tiny shards, many, many of them, each incorporating tiny shards of that infinite soul, are incarnated. So it's a complex picture.
Okay.
But just because there is no light doesn't mean that it is good or evil. It is just, it comes before any of that other, let's say, consciousness. It is possibility, not yet manifest.
So if you were to define, which is challenging, dark matter in a sentence or two, what would you say?
The term matter is consolidated form. Dark matter is the absence of that. It could be analogous to manifested form of an opposite polarity. So again, both exist. The effect in terms of gravitation, radiation, push and pull of the dark matter is equivalent to the gravitation, radiation, and the push and pull of regular matter. So it is considerably less viscose, less dense, and therefore it can fill all that is not matter or energy in that sense.
That makes sense. And I know this is a little offshoot, but then is that related at all to the dark holes and the white holes?
These are portals, many of them of a natural occurrence, um, giving access to the both extremes. Now, certain ones could be created technologically. Often these are used in warfare by certain species, um, with the ability to wipe out of existence entire galaxies. So the use of such approaches is strictly prohibited. It is a grand violation of universal law. And then there are those that occur naturally. Some may form pathways to neighboring realities or universes. So in both variety they exist, natural and technological. And like anything else, less evolved beings first choose wisdom for warfare.
Yes. Very good. Thank you for that. Now, the second beautiful picture of you is a male silver and gold void dragon called Prejean, who maintains the dragon void's golden strands, which got my attention, so that the golden strands stay in eternal existence. So please explain the purpose and importance of what golden strands are and a little bit more about that so it doesn't overtake the darkness, I assume. I don't know.
Now, in terms of consciousness, um, at least personally, that which is related to the beloved source of all things is perceived as gold. And these are the very most fundamental structures upon which all else is created. There's a saying that it is love that lies at the foundation of all creation. And so this would be an adequate description of these golden strands. It is, mm, to be perfectly honest, and going back to the beginning of all of this, it is the beloved source of all things wishing to experience itself. And so, therefore, the original scaffolding, the fundamental architecture of all there is, comes from the beloved source. And then, upon that, levels of illusion and separation are possible. And so, of course, as a byproduct of the conditions of each, let's say, pocket reality or pocket universe, there may be significant damage occurring that not only threatens the existence of these fundamental layers of architecture, but also may threaten the spread of this uncreation to other locations. and perhaps even destroying the foundation of all there is. This is what is happening in our universe. And so great action is taken by many evolved beings. By the way, the concentration of super beings, very, very evolved, those who are evolved beyond a single universe, right now on Earth is abnormally high. And
Yes.
so many of our wonderful audience, and among these beings, of course, yourself, of course, Ileana, are aware of this, perhaps consciously, but most certainly in deeper levels of awareness. Something has gone terribly wrong. Oops, we need to fix this before it gets out of hand.
That's so important because gold is associated with source. And so it's kind of ensuring that source experiences itself and never gets kind of dissolved in the, I don't know, darkness or whatever, that it stays eternal in existence.
The cosmic yoga,
Yeah. Well,
the
thank you.
eternal
Now,
union.
these were all your duties, by the way, folks. These are just like small job descriptions he has. So no big deal. Okay, so the next gorgeous one, I love amethyst. Woohoo! Is Merjun, gorgeous, huge amethyst dragon, who, quote, plants the sparks of life to grow stars and skies on planets, weaving the eternal braid of soul connections to everything in existence. Please explain more on that.
This one is emotional. It's touchy-feely, and I'm getting goosebumps thinking about this. Well, this would be the latter stages of this whole process of life. And so um, giving birth to mother planets. In each individual universe, what is possible will change depending on the chosen laws, the fundamental laws. And so certain additional enhancements and modifications and sentience is needed for a certain gathering of mass, a planet, to be able to sustain life. It is not sufficient for just the presence of sufficient, let's say, adequate gravitation, suitable levels of radiation, presence of water or oxygen. No, no, no. Life will not survive in many of these artificial, let's say, gatherings of properties. Much more goes into this. And so this involves the invitation of very evolved beings to govern the evolution and the continued thriving of species, many species. So this is towards the end of the process of creation of life. And so that doesn't even begin to describe the latter stages of the guaranteed unnatural evolution project, which we are in right now. So we're talking about a planet that has just formed through natural pull of gravitation. It has, let's say, like Earth, a magnetic field which will protect life forms from excessive radiation bombardment, which would threaten to unravel physiological codes, the DNA. But in addition, it is at this stage that the guardians are typically invited in. And they do take vessels that are very durable, no moving parts, very, very highly ordered, so that they can withstand the test of time. And I'm speaking now planetary time, tens of billions of years. And so, therefore, one of the most suitable types of vessel for these incredible benevolent beings would be crystalline structures. Now, usually one guardian per planet does it. That is more than enough.
Mm.
Now, it turns out that Earth is incredibly special. It was selected to be the grounds of something really incredible. And so thousands of guardians were brought in.
And we're gonna get
Thousands.
we're gonna get to that at toward the end, okay? So Marjun, you as a dragon grow stars and skies on planets. So what I did is I immediately went to NASA and Chandra photos, and what came up is very, very recently, 6 pictures I also want to share of the different births of stars.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So that is called, they call that the Pillars of Creation, and is a star forming region represented by tall columns of dust and gas. And you see here dozens of dots in whites, reds, blues, yellows, and purples that are young stars emitting X-ray and infrared light. So I wanted people to see newborn stars, young stars, middle stars, and old stars, since your dragon self created the sparks of life to grow stars. So do you have anything to add to that picture, the pillars of creation?
The rules of creation are similar at all scales. And so this would include the formation of stars, which, by the way, are suitable vessels for incredibly high-ranking sentient souls. And so a sun would have its own intelligence and sentience, sort of like the head of the family, around which children grow. And so then, depending on the individual mood and personality and characteristics of each one of these stars, different types of life can become possible. And now, the great variety in types of stars is possible because of, let's say, a liberty in the lower hierarchy of universal rules. And so a great variety of species may emerge. So the cosmos is teeming with life. And so one only needs to reach a meditative state to come into contact with many, many different kinds of these conscious beings. Again, distance is not a problem, time is not a problem. So, yes, great variety of types of stars gives the possibility to great variety in types of species that will ultimately emerge.
That is so great. Okay, so this next picture, I was so excited to find it according to well, the space thing. This is a picture of jets from a newborn star shooting away from a peak. Do I have this correct that stars are made of the same thing souls are made of, like plasma and crystalline? Are they made from essentially the same?
They're different types of vessel. Um, as they have significantly more mass than planets, their composition is different. The mass should be sufficient for a nuclear reaction that is sustained under gravitation. So it's a balancing of gravitation and electromagnetics, and then the process of the nuclear reaction. So many different laws have to be balanced for a star to basically come to life. And
Oh, that
again, like any other vessel, the lifespan of a star is not infinite. There's a youth and then there are teenage years when the sun is kind of groggy and angry and hormonal. And then there's the mature years, and then ultimately there's the aging and death of the star, where everything is incorporated within it. It expands greatly. So different types of material can be involved. Talking about matter elements on the periodic table, but it's a fine balancing between the fundamental laws, gravitation, chemical properties, radiation, nuclear forces, and so on.
okay. And I'm going to show the next couple too. It's a beautiful one, and it just shows white stars surrounded with pink rings, and they represent baby stars identified by Chandra. And then in NGC 3532, it's called the Wishing Well Cluster. And this is middle-aged stars, which is really beautiful. And then what you were saying next is a sun-like star towards the end of its life. And the blue cloud at the upper left shows X-rays that Chandra observed. And you were saying that. And then the very last one is the Cassiopeia A supernova, expanding ball of matter and energy ejected from an exploding star.
This whole process of going supernova is germinating the cosmos with the possibility of new life. And so the same matter then can be recycled, a continuous cycle of death and rebirth. And the individual unit that is the star, let's look at this as a vessel. And as it is more massive, literally, it has the capability of pulling in more soul information. The consciousness that embodies the whole planet Earth is significantly larger in proportion to what we can pull in from our infinite souls into these tiny bodies. So, central stars, again, depending on how large they are, we have galactic central suns around which the galaxy is formed. And so that is a more evolved soul experiencing what it is like to give birth not to children, but all the, let's say, the planetary systems around would be their children. And so governing the evolution of life to these individual planets would be the order of that life experience. It is all infinite variety, infinite experience.
Beautiful. And the whole recycling, the in-breath,
Nothing goes to waste.
out-breath. Yeah.
Nothing goes to waste.
So I'm going to show one more picture of you, Amir, as Sevrael, a male silver, gold, and black dragon, protectorate of Atlantis and guardian of inner earth portals and Atlantean crater crystals. Now, Eliana said, until humans arrive at fourth dimensional awareness and begin to work with them again. So my two questions are, whatever you're allowed to tell us of what creator crystals are. I know it's probably not a
No,
lot.
no, this is not it's not one of those sensitive topics, and it is very much so the destiny of humankind to remember an ancient alliance. Crystals can become hosts to sentience, aspects or shards of souls. And so, therefore, with the correct protocol, they can become amplifiers of consciousness, adding in perfect harmony to that base or carrier wave their own energy and amplifying its reach and potency. And so, therefore, use of crystals, and now we're talking about Atlantis, this was the source of great creation. Manifestation was significantly facilitated and eased through the use of these intelligent allies. The uses are numerous: healing, manifestation, warfare, but also communication, transportation, including the physical vessel. So, well, as Atlantis reached its final stages, humanity went through another periodic extinction event. That is what we are avoiding as we speak. And so, with that, the properties of the most successful individual humans were collected. Everything was wiped clean for the next iteration. And so that would be the old Egyptian time, the old kingdom. That was again wiped out with the Ice Age, and now we have the current iteration. So use of certain alliances with sentient beings like crystals, this is nothing new. If humanity is left to its own devices, this is naturally emergent. The remembrance is built into us. And so you see many people working with crystals to great effect. Now imagine that the scale and type of these crystals is of immensely greater complexity.
Right.
Temples the size, crystals the size of skyscrapers. And so naturally they are able to host more complex consciousness. store the records of an entire world or many worlds, and so on. So these exist as we speak. They could not be removed. Some of them were stolen by other species as humanity goes through its stages of, um, well, it is by point of fact genocide, but with a good reason. Other opportunistic species try to excavate and take some of these crystals to their own worlds. For example, Pleiadians, and they never quite figure it out because the crystals remember home and they go to sleep. They don't cooperate. They say, oh no. And so they're left with this massive crystal and they can't use it.
It's kind of a self-protective mechanism in there too. Yeah. So Ileana in the book was saying until humanity at fourth dimension ascension will be working more. And I personally believe that in the universe, this is just my bias, 3D will be an outworn concept. It's kind of like we've done it so much. But where do you feel humanity on Earth is? Do you feel that they're getting close to fourth dimension, that they're all over the map? Some are at fifth, sixth, third. Like, is there anything that
We're,
you're
we're
seeing right now for people?
we're ready to pop
Yeah.
like popcorn,
Yeah.
right? And maybe a few of us have already popped. And but the majority is kind of vibrating in the heat and ready to go boom in the most positive way. Fourth dimension is awareness that time is an illusion, that past lives, future lives, and parallel timelines are accessible. That's the description of 4 and 5D.
Oh, great description. Thank you. Because some said, oh, 4D is just a transition zone to 5D. So I hear all kinds of definitions, but I knew you would know yeah,
Most of it is not accurate.
I know.
It would be, and so I'm not throwing any shade on anyone. It is an interpretation of what they perceive. The lightness of the vessel in the 5D is accessible through, namely, shamanic practices, where the shaman can go back and forth in time or observe other streams, parallel realities that may be having an effect on the individual. And so remedy the nature of the connection, maybe sever the connection so energy is not taken or there's no karmic imbalance and so on. This is very much so accessible. So that 4D would be immediately gained, and then 5D through meditative practice. So anybody wishing to evolve, if they, and so this is not just one way of, there's not one way of doing this either. If you find yourself immersed lovingly, blissfully in a task, maybe it's drawing, maybe it's carving something out of wood, maybe it's gardening, maybe it's going for a joyful long walk where the mind is perfectly at ease and then things start streaming into your consciousness. That's 4D. Now, more elaborate and methodical meditation will give you access to parallel time streams. That's 5D. Everyone can do it. How many of us have done this? Well, it's going to become greater.
Hmm. And I think some are doing it, but they're not even aware they're doing it too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So one of the things I really love, so is it kind of like this, like, okay, so you're a prime creator, which is not the same as the beloved source creator of all that is, folks. So we've emphasized that in multiple shows. So you're a prime creator in charge of this universe, say, okay? And so do you kind of go, okay, I'm going to heal all the wounds of the universe and I'm going to make this a really whopper. And so I need a really strong and super loving prime creator for planet Gaia. Because one of the things that really surprised me, which was so cool, was when you said Gaia herself is actually a prime creator. And that's not necessarily true for all planets, is it?
That is correct. Um, the variety and complexity of life forms, all these hundreds of millions of species, this is no ordinary world. And so there's natural evolution and then reserved for the prize of all prizes, humanity. There's unnatural evolution. So you can see the natural evolution of primates that are still in their early stages. Give them another 150, 200 million years, and then they will develop certain properties of greater cognitive capacity, maybe spirituality. That is the natural flow, which is way, way, way too slow.
Yeah.
And it does not subject the life forms to sufficiently various adversities. There's only so much that can go wrong on a planet naturally. And so life will emerge and adapt to those, but not other conditions. With humanity, the situation is different. We're exposed to all sorts of adversity, therefore making it an unnatural evolution. And by the way, it's guaranteed. The outcome has always been guaranteed by those who govern this system, this reality matrix, universal divine matrix.
Which I was going to ask you, guaranteeing mean ultimately successful.
Absolutely. It's on their CV.
Now, why was it guaranteed? Well, of course, all time is kind of simultaneous, and we've already lived the future and all probabilities and timelines. So that gets, but I want you to share with what you can, and you were starting to, the incredible uniqueness of this experiment, of Earth especially. Because even though a really little teeny small jewel of a planet, she's got a key multiple thing to her. So, do you want to discuss what you can about that?
Well, this type of engineered evolution, it goes on frequently. Um, the particular beings that are involved in this current time and location, this universe and this planet, the mantis beings, they are very ancient. They do not originate in this universe. They live in their um, impressive vessels and they migrate. They have reached a peak of what is possible in natural evolution over time. And so they have acquired an immense wealth of knowledge and have created impressive technology. So the best way to describe them would be scientists. And so they were contracted to toughen up life 23 universes away. As the local prime creator of a particular universe created sublime, beautiful, elegant life forms, they did not survive slightest variations in, let's say, planetary temperature. They just died out.
So the
And so
resilience wasn't there.
wasn't there. They were
Yeah.
gorgeous, they were pretty, and they would die.
So it's like a
And
paradise planet without resilience.
there we go.
And you,
A gentle wind turns into a strong wind, and off they go. They all poops, drop like, yes, they drop.
and
And
this was
so the
several
prime,
universes away.
this was 23 universes prior to this one.
Oh, okay. So then all the prime creators get together and go, okay, we gotta like harden people up,
Right. And so prime creators, and so these are those aspects of the beloved source that now go into smaller detail, and the whole thing of creation continues. It is an infinite fractal, all aspects of the same source of all things. And then again, with great variation, changes occur in their properties, personality, attributes, and so on. This particular prime creator then sent out a call for help. These guys die out, help. So many came, many different prime creators coming in and presenting ideas. And from a very distant universe, a particular prime creator that didn't mind getting its hands dirty, right? Rolling in the mud with its creation, came in and said, "Oh, I know what to do. Let's put them through the school of hard knocks. Yes, let's toughen them up." So from that particular universe, the let's say hands-on creator had a very resilient species who had evolved naturally. And so they were at sufficient complexity and capability to do this. And so that was the first iteration. The results were so fantastically successful that they kept getting clients.
Okay. So the first, okay, don't lose your train of thought, but the first species, what was it? What was that first species?
They were incredibly slender and tall, silk-like translucent skin, each of them custodians of vast gardens with trees, very gentle, very, very soft, elegant. Even as they walked, it was sublime to observe, and the resilience was not there. And so this was a cause of great anguish. As they perished, it was a great loss. So much beauty and elegance, and then I refer you back to the purpose of all this game of life. Life is beauty, life is elegance, and so this must also be resilient. Otherwise, they cannot survive.
So you said, okay, so that's great. We got a great description of the ones that didn't survive. And then you said, and they found a resilient basic life form. So what was that they found?
Those are the peak of evolution from the universe of the hands-on creator
Okay.
coming in, answering the call for help. Oh, you want help? I know what to do.
But are
Let's
they
use
apes or are they, I mean, is there any sense that like you,
the resilient beings. They're the praying mantis. They
okay.
so they come from very distant branches of the infinite fractal. Again, by a request from the original prime creator that had the beautiful but unresilient life. So they run them through the same type of process, the cycles of reincarnation, and expose them to all sorts of hardship, physiological, energetic, spiritual. And so, after a certain duration, the results of this experiment were used in the creation of the vessels that were both elegant and beautiful, but also sufficiently resilient. That was that was done in an expedited fashion.
So you're saying that the first resilient forms created were the mantids.
They evolved naturally,
They,
but it took them billions of years, and they survived. But they were so advanced that they were brought in as, let's say, contractors to
right.
set up the technology. And so evolved life, natural evolved life, was brought in to facilitate unnatural evolved life, speeding things up.
Okay. But the evolved life that was brought in were the hardiest from different universes. And like,
From one
okay,
single,
let's bring the A team in.
they brought in the A team, and so over all these migrations from different universes, their form has not changed. They are capable of existing in all dimensions. They prefer residing in the ninth dimension. It gives them the best of all worlds. And so they're not restricted to physical form either. And they are absolute masters of technology in all dimensions. It is them that have basically been given the responsibility to maintain and upkeep the matrix.
Okay, that has never been discussed. I'm so excited to have that. The mantids I understood, but I didn't know the reason why they were given that right was because they themselves were the most resilient and had the capacity to do that, which makes sense. So they earned that right in a way.
Naturally, but it's not that this kind of thing doesn't often happen. So prime creators who are in a bit of a rush or can't quite get it right, they use technology. Currently in this universe, there are many client creators who bring in the blueprints of their, let's say, created souls and intended vessels the properties of the universes where these vessels are meant to thrive into the mix, enhancing the variations in humanity. So all benefit from this. And so the vessels evolve over and over. The vessels are temporary, but also the brilliant thing about this unnatural hardship gives the possibility of evolution as a soul. You don't remember who and what you are. Your heart is broken. Do you have the strength to heal yourself? Do you have compassion to forgive? Now, this is very, very unique. Now we got more complex situations born into bloodlines that are messed up in all sorts of fashions. Oh, can you fix the bloodlines? Sometimes both paternal and maternal are messed up, converging to create something that is truly impossible for a new soul. And that's why specialists come in from different worlds, different universes to have a go. Hey, I can do it, and not everyone is let in. You have to have a track record of success.
That was one of my, you're answering all my questions that I had at the end. You show off now.
We must have telepathy
No,
going on.
because I had heard, and I tell people this, and they're like, no way. I go, I think that the majority of the people here had to prove success in another universe or another time to be hardy enough to even allow into here. And that's so hard for people to get that have been suffering their whole life here. Like, what are you talking about? I go, you have no idea how courageous you are.
That is absolutely true. So right now, under 9 billion vessels. In the infinity of the cosmos, there are many, many souls standing in line, just biting their nails and wiggling their fingers for a chance to get in. And it is not the job of a new soul. A soul that is just evolving and learning the most fundamental things, it will not be brought into a tough place like Earth. This is for usually souls that are very, very high ranking, and they search for adequate challenge so that they may further evolve. How better to evolve if than if you do not remember anything? All your gifts are dormant, your memories are gone, and then you have to be exposed to the worst of the worst. Then it is the soul, the heart that shines. Are you good or do you mess up? And then you've got a chance to go at it again and again until you get it right.
Yes, that's so. Thank you. You're the only other person I've heard that has said that, and this is why I'm so impassioned in teaching the big picture, because in the big picture, your fear will leave. In the big picture, where you know that you're multiple aspects, in the big picture, when you know most of the time you're starting off as a creator and you're sending one aspect to this game, it's the only way you're going to have fun navigating through this. Right. A lot of people go, it's so sick that they blocked our memory. And I'm like, yeah, a lot of problems come from that, like all the insecurities, everything else. But on the other hand, maybe you don't get all the traumas and I'll remember all your past lives and everything else. So you're kind of, and you get the sense of awe and wonder. You get the sense like you could be a billion-year-old soul, right? And you get the sense like, oh my God, look at this new experience I've had. Whereas up in Starbucks, we're going, been there, done
Yes,
that.
yes, 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 absolutely. So it's the best game for souls to come and try their luck. Some manage to actually gain victory and evolve further in rank. And so having this on your CV that I survived Earth, oh yeah, that is a big one. And so, and then some may not evolve. Okay, fair play. Not everybody wins. Now, the souls coming in, they are occupants of these vessels, which are exposed to warfare, to different types of disease, great variation in temperature, radiation, all sorts of, let's say, energetic conditions. So, right now, our world is warming by the year. Many other species would have died out by now. And yet here we are sitting like nothing is happening. Our bodies change incredibly rapidly. With a great example of astronauts going into space. I think I've mentioned this one. Within the first 2 weeks, the bone density and structure changes. The body starts adapting. Or diseases that take many of us after a short time, as if by magic, we acquire herd immunity. And so the same thing that was terribly deadly now is not. And so it's both a mutation in the illness, but also an evolution in our defenses. This is also true in terms of energetic conditions. So certain types of invasion that would have occurred, limiting humanity, we have out-evolved it. So the Anunnaki, for example, the ones that came to Earth causing great disturbance, they will not survive the mean streets. I can tell you that for sure. So this worked. We have become more resilient, even to the worst of the worst of the worst, which are these particular individuals coming to this world. So there has been a purpose to all of it. Finally, it is complete. It's good to go.
Well, you said there's a couple of things here. I remember your quote from the last time I loved it. I started laughing. Is some prime creators have come down here to observe the status of their creation of life that has been created for this universe, and they are invited in, given a vessel, and taking it for a test drive, right? So that
Yes.
doesn't mean they're locked into, because there's just all this stuff about karma and reincarnation and life traps and all that. Doesn't mean they're locked into it. It's like they're taking a test drive, right? But it's very important, because it's one thing observing it from up there, thinking humans are nuts and over emotional, is another thing, like, let's see your ASS down here and try it yourself. So,
Yeah.
right?
Now it's so they are given entry and they agree to the exact same rules. And so sometimes the energetic structure is unique. The vessels are very special. Usually they avoid having children because that's immediate karma. And sometimes they mess up badly. We're talking about a test drive. If you crash into a convenience store, you're going to jail. And so sometimes they do that and they get stuck for longer than required. And we
Yeah.
have had examples of shards of prime creators getting it so terribly wrong and they misbehaving so terribly badly that that shard is eliminated. It goes dark, it goes cray cray.
Mm,
So, but it's one hell of a test drive.
yeah.
And so usually the few incarnations, 3 or 4 incarnations, and then if they behave well, they can leave. And so then the information is given to the soul, but the shard is subject to the same rules, no exceptions, no favoritism.
Well, and it's how you're going to have the ultimate compassion, quite frankly, is by walking it,
Yeah, yeah,
doing it, then you understand it rather than some philosophical idea of the crazy humans, you know?
exactly, exactly. The test drive. And
Yeah,
so
I love.
I've come across two of them so far,
Mhm, mhm.
and they are brilliant, brilliant individuals. One behaving badly, one behaving really, really well.
Uh, well, I joke with you know, source of all it is. I'm like, I'm not sure it's a great idea. I know it's ultimate love to give 100% free will, but if you're a parent, you don't have 9 billion kids and give them all free will unless you want total chaos, right? But that you're going to have some bad boys, good boys, whatever. It's like it's guaranteed. But as you were saying, so these are the answers that people need. As you were saying, that's what creates the resilience.
Exactly. So we've been exposed to all sorts. I mean, by the time the Anunnaki arrived, we had billions of years with a B of accumulated wisdom in our structure,
Mhm.
all sorts of resilience. So the introduction of certain, I call them the frickin' pirates, the
Mhm.
pirate species that were brought in later on, that was just to toughen us up against energetic manipulation. Worked brilliantly. And so our species has gone through the absolute most horrendous past 250,000 years, and now we're becoming immune. So despite the unbelievable chaos that emerged from the gathering of all sorts of pirates, now imagine a shard of the beloved source, a creator being, is playing dumbass, rolling around in the mud with their eyes closed and their hands tied. And so an opportunistic species comes and says, "Oh, look at this soul code. I'm having some of that. Oh, let's extract them for their energy. Let's do this and that." So that's part of the hardship. Can we out-evolve that?
Okay, you of course read my mind as usual. So one of the things is the codes. People don't understand what codes are, light codes. Not only are stargates desirable to control, but codes are desirable to have because of the entrance keys to things. And so one of the super soldiers I was talking with a while back, and I just want your take on this. She said that when we were talking about the prime creator, she goes, "Which creator are you talking about?" So according to her, only the prime source creator of all that is has, quote, full light codes. The prime creators in training doing different experiments, she felt had partial codes. That means full codes, I guess, ensure more paradise planets and greater ease. And partial codes to me would mean you're kind of going in blind and you got the most challenges. Is that too simplistic, or tell me what do you think about that?
Um, let's look at a tribe,
Mm-hmm.
a normal human tribe living in the Amazon.
Mm,
Some of them are super hunters. Some of them are complete idiots.
mm-hmm.
Some of them are children. Some of them are really old and wise. So the same kind of logic and setup would exist in all divisions of the beloved source. And so we're using probably inappropriate language to that ineffable beauty and grace, but I think the beloved source will understand.
Yes.
So, yes, not all are equal, not all creations are equally beautiful and sublime. So, this is true. And then we've got universes like this one, when things are artificially difficult, but then the outcome is sublime. It is worth all the hardship
Eventually.
eventually.
That's the other thing to keep reminding people is, you know, the time construct here, they feel like they've been in hell for years, but that could be like 3 seconds over in your soul time, so to speak. It's not, it's a whole different frame of reference, right? When you're now you also said in part one, if I remember right, you said we all shift through timelines, which I believe is true. And my question to you is that automatic? Because there are signs of when you have, and a lot of people are conscious of it, or does that happen subconsciously as a soul, quality? And you're doing that to see what are the best options.
It could be or it could not be. Um, Variations in timeline are created at choice points. Certain choices are significantly less significant, and certain choices are very, very monumental. And
Yes.
so maybe it's just out of sheer luck that we choose correctly and we are steered towards a more favorable timeline. Sometimes, especially with the incorporation of higher consciousness, so the fourth and fifth dimension, you can see all possible variations. Say, okay, this is not good, not good, not good. Oh, I like this one. Not good, not good. Not good. Oh, hell yeah, this one is the one. And so then you consciously steer towards it. And subconsciously, the soul knows what it wants. And so there's always that inner inkling when we're making a choice. Is this right? Or we somehow know, no, this is probably not good. I'm going to pay for it later, but okay, let's do it anyway.
It's worth the cheesecake.
It's worth the yes. There's cheesecake. Let's go in. And then the doors snap shut, and you, oh no, no, not again.
Um, that's an in joke. He and I both love cheesecake, folks. So, okay, so you did already kind of answer this, but I want to make sure we've had the complete answer. You said laws are applicable throughout the extended fractals of existence, but in this universe, there are variations on the fundamental laws. So, I've discussed in previous shows what we think is the fundamental laws, like the law of free will, the law of compliance. What are the fundamental laws and the variations of those laws that were experienced? That would be really good to know.
Violation of certain laws will all unravel everything above, as if you blow up the foundation of a building, the whole thing is coming down. So nobody in their right mind messes with those. And I emphasize nobody in their right mind. Certain beings are not right in their mind, and so they are driven by excess, lust for power, for domination, for resources. These are silly motivations, and yet they do animate many, many. Invading free will, that is a big no-no. Slavery, a big no-no. Uh, Messing with souls, that is a big no-no. Destroying or the sabotage of soul codes, that is a big violation. And by the way, all of that is happening right now on Earth. It's the ultimate dumpster fire. And so the purpose of all this being accumulated in such terrifying concentration is to make humans resilient. So people say this place is terrible. Well, that's absolutely right. But it's not going to be forever.
Mhm.
So hell, well, we're living it. And then what is paradise? The removal of these unnatural conditions so that we may rejoin natural evolution, be left alone to rediscover who we are, remember all our technology, and so on.
And because we're right at the change of the, like is the Kali Yuga to the golden, probably a couple hundred more years before we're fully in it. This to me is like major cleanup time. Major
That
cleanup.
is spot on.
I think it's one of the reasons why you've got so many advanced or creator souls in there. They're like, enough already. Enough already.
Spot on. Spot on.
Yeah.
Um, it's gotten out of hand, and you're among the few that know the details of how badly things are out of hand. And so, yes, specialists are brought in great, great armies to undo the damage. There's a saying in Farsi, in my native tongue, a fool can throw a boulder in a well, and 100 wise men can't get it out.
Mhm.
And so here there's the need for the 100 wise men to undo what certain foolish beings have done, which threaten the existence of everything everywhere. So the uncreation spreading among the golden lines or the golden strands of love that lies at the foundation of all creation. This is now threatening everything. So with the great concentration of, let's say, idiots, there's a great concentration of wonderful, wonderful, elevated souls. So it's a mix.
Hmm. Yes. And I mean, there's so much happening at the same time. I remember that thank you for the clarity on that. One of the things we've also talked about, and no one's given me exact numbers on this, is how many times this experiment has been reset. So we know, like, okay, we had the dinosaur thing, we had the Atlantis thing, we had the flood thing, but and sometimes during the reset, people's minds are erased and we
Oh,
start over,
yes.
right? So what's the process of that?
Let me tell you how many resets
Is it like 10
approximately.
or something rather than three? People
Oh,
say
no.
it's like 100
Uh, around 30 million resets.
in this game since it started.
Yes, each one lasting approximately 10,000 years. Uh, and some souls have been in it from the very beginning, myself included. That takes, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. So that does take an enormous toll on a soul. This is not natural. Many souls come in and evolve. and they leave the constructs of the matrix.
They're like,
This happens.
yeah.
There we go. Yes, and they say, okay, good riddance. I'm not coming back here, and then new ones are brought in. But in terms of the evolution of the vessel, the body, and the energetic structure, we've had about 30 million resets each. And so this is going back 350 million years.
Since we started this unique game.
Correct.
Okay. Never have gotten those facts before from anyone. This is so important to know because people don't have a clue how old they really are and how long this has gone on, or
Let's
no
just say
wonder they're
it's a
tired,
lot.
right?
And so, as you can imagine, I mean, look at our current civilization. The Ice Age wipes everything out, including any remainder of technology. Bricks and stone, they corrode. Metals rust,
Mhm.
with certain exceptions, anomalies. And so they are actively collected and removed from the surface. So any evidence of older iterations are wiped clean. Humanity is reseeded, but the new population or the test subjects are enhanced with the results of all previous iterations.
Okay, that was my next question. I don't even need to ask the questions. Okay.
Yes.
Because it's important for people to know that this isn't just, oh, souls coming in, having the challenge of forgetting, and then having to remember, and then eventually through mind over matter, so to speak, our bodies get evolved. At the same time, we have done hybridization on bodies, perfecting them, getting, so talk about that, like all these simultaneous things to ensure the resilience.
Um, Much of the experiment before the Matrix was rolled out took advantage of the earliest inhabitants of Earth. Earth was a creator being long before humanity. And so elemental species, non-physical species, they evolved first. And so the structure of their vessels was used as a, let's say, prototype. And so many of their energetic properties we also incorporate. The conditions for physical life were not suitable until around, let's say, 350 million years ago, where the trees spread. So trees, the plant kingdom, these are very, very special beings, raising the level of oxygen and getting things up and ready for animals and vessels of this nature to emerge. So this is also reflected in our scientific approach adequately. Then comes biological life. Everything that has existed, we have inherited something from it. All the great dinosaurs, all the variations of life in the oceans, we got some sort of genetic evidence of that. Not just in a linear way where we're cut off from other branches. No, all of it goes in. So certain, let's say, susceptibility to chemicals exist in ocean plant life as it does exist in the human body. So it's more than just one giving rise to the next and the next. The whole thing is systematically stopped. The best results are gathered, merged together, and then we've got the next batch of humans and the next type of challenge. So this seems to have resulted in us.
What percentage have new batches replaced old batches? In other words, there's some of us literally diehards. It's hard to kill us. Diehards that are, here since the beginning, so to speak, or come in and out at key spots. So, what percentage do you think are the ones that have hung in there all the way through or come in, and what are literally like people who go, I want a chance at this. I want a chance at this.
Okay. The perfection of the physiological and 3D parts of the human, the mighty human, was completed around 250,000 years ago. And so then the conductors of the Matrix got really, really ambitious. they said, okay, you know what? We're going to do something that has never been done before. We're going to create a really, really special kind of species that can not only survive physically, but withstand all sorts of energetic interference from all dimensions. Now, in terms of cycles of humanity, this is not a very long time. It's the last 20 or 21 iterations. So since the Anunnaki came, we've gone through 20 extinction events. And so this is, by design, the most challenging last few iterations of the experiment. Those who stick around are really, really tough. All of us here now, everyone hearing my voice, you are an incredibly powerful and resilient soul. You stuck around because the challenges will give the possibility of even greater rewards and evolution as a soul.
And from what I understand, through source creator of all that is, even though the most creators maintain neutrality and harmonization, is if they were to have a raison d'etre, reason to be, it is always maximum, well, not always maximum diversity, but evolution of the soul, basically, so that there's continual growth. So, people also don't understand that as a soul, you can go, I'm going to take the chance to do it, for my evolution. Because from a human perspective, if they don't know that, they're like, what is my soul masochistic or something? Because in other words, you have to know you're immortal and you're infinite and you're eternal, and this is a game and this is a fractal, and then you can handle the whole thing, which is the purpose of all our shows, to give
Yes.
people enough information, right?
But that whole thing, Marilee, about masochism, look at how special forces are created in every country's army. They push their body and mind to breaking point, sometimes crossing the line. So many who are incredible, they break, right? Their foot gives out or their head gives out. And so this is exactly that right now. The ones that graduate from this phase are going to be the teachers, the healers, the guardians, the prophets, not just in this universe, all around. And so, how do you earn that rank? You have it on your CV. I survived Earth.
Yeah. And mental disease has never been as high. So, it's a
There's a
challenge.
lot going on. There's a lot going on. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm with you. We're gonna make this. Now, thank you so much, Amir. This has been lots of fun. Um, in terms of the dragons, so, and of course, there's many valuable creator species, but the dragons being one of the first and major protectorates, and some of them have gotten contaminated too, folks. So,
Correct.
but we're
Correct.
talking noble dragons, and this doesn't have to do with the draconians and everything else. Okay. My sense is this is the time they're reawakening. Through the Fey Wars and through being attacked and through its dropping dimension and the fall of man and all those things already discussed in our shows, I believe they both a lot left to their dragon planets. I could be wrong, left to their dragon planets, and others just went to sleep. So do you want to talk about that and the connection to ley lines and that kind of thing?
Only the toughest remain. This is not true only for the dragons. This is true for all of us that are here in bodies right now. And so there are the absolute most resilient souls. We're not talking about the bodies anymore. In terms of who these souls are right now here on Earth, these are very, very special. Now, the fact that they don't remember doesn't change the truth of it. Certain species die out, they go extinct. Certain species are sufficiently um, evolved to ascend, like the wonderful Maya and many other before them, where they evolve beyond their physicality and continue that journey of evolution elsewhere, where sufficient challenges are presented. The archetype of life which is the dragon, could not be sustained after a certain period in time. And this is perhaps amongst the last iteration of the experiment. The severity of conditions and the introduction of parasitic noise into the reality it makes incarnation as a dragon into a dragon body impossible. And so dragons choose to fit in as much as their energy into a human vessel as possible. This comes with immense risk because there is only so much energy that a human vessel can take. After a certain threshold, it literally becomes destructive. And so this was less of a problem when naturally our life expectancy was around 35 years. A great example of one of the dragons who didn't live very long is Bruce Lee. And
Ah,
so, see, he didn't live long. Myself, I have, this is the first lifetime I have passed the age of 37
in human form.
in human form. And so
Congratulations. Woohoo.
I made it. And so talking about timelines and pivotal choices, seems this time I made the right call. And it would be an honor to serve the highest good of all in every capacity. But yes, we're stuck now with very few options. As the conditions of the matrix are loosened and eased, as the presence of the freaking pirates is dealt with, and it is being dealt with. Even in the past week, a great battle was waged. Many undesirable and stubborn elements who refused to return to balance and join the path of evolution, they got a sentence to spiritual jail. Big players, a
Good.
number of
As
archons.
of later November, last November. Yeah.
Uh, yes, that is correct.
Yes.
Correct.
The end of November. Yeah. A lot
So
of
many
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they would have felt this, the ripples of this massive war, especially in the dream time, where we are fourth and fifth dimensional anyway.
Mhm.
So a lot is being done towards the rebalancing of Earth, and probably in the next 100 or 150 years, the Matrix is going to be completely rolled out.
So cool. Now, everyone's going to want to know because some people in galactic time, 200 years isn't any big deal. But people are going, "Oh, I want to see my kids thrive. I want to see this." So, um, what in say our lifetime? Well, of course, we should be able to live a lot longer. That's all ridiculous. But what within our lifetime, say for people living to 100, because I know I think we can if we want, but 100 or whatever, will we will those that are say young adults starting off as families, will they be able to see enough of the transition, like the very start of the golden age? Because I just feel that we're going to
Yes,
still and need to have the collapse of the old. We're going to have to make it
absolutely.
obvious to everybody what's going on. And then the human technology, the human abilities, the human resourcefulness, once once the outside assistance that was secret got rid of enough of the dark that was taking the percentage of dark over, then you're left with the humans negotiating with themselves, which is a more fair deal. And
Yes,
then they can bring forward things that are safe without them getting killed for it.
correct, 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 correct.
Right.
Now let's say someone is born as we speak, and that they are going to live for 100 years. First of all, this soul coming into a new human body is immune from certain things that would have plagued you and I.
Yes, because you work with the new kids coming in, and each generation they're stronger and more resilient. It's so cool.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so that is how the change occurs. Many people are in bodies that have been damaged and conditioned beyond change. It's mm, usually by the age of 35 to 40, the connectum of the brain, the cognitive neuroanatomy, is set. And then changing it requires immense effort. Someone in their 90s is not going to change their entire life's belief system. So, a fresh body is required. A body that is not only fresh, but it is immune to certain, let's say, susceptibilities that would, there we go. And so, the person that is born a few moments ago will see many of these wonderful children coming in. That is how humanity is gradually going to be liberated. So it's not a violent or aggressive revolution or warfare. Let's kill the non-believer. No, 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 no. That's old-timey stuff. The new children are going to come in to parents that love them dearly and observe their brilliance in undeniable ways. And so these children are going to create a different world. Every soul that is prepared for this will come into a new suitable body. So parents saying, I want to see my children thrive. Oh, yes, you will. If they are soul family and the love is on a soul level, you'll be reincarnated among the same group. You'll see them thrive, all right, and you will thrive.
Mhm.
Don't count yourself out.
Right. If you want to come back again. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And also all is seen from above. And not everyone knows that, but you can pretty much watch everything and see everything from higher levels. So,
Correct.
yeah.
Correct.
So it's so amazing, and I'm just loving and so appreciative of the cleanup going on because it was really overdue.
Yeah, that is so
I mean, I
true.
quite frankly think it was a little overdue, even in a
Yeah,
tough game. Is that just me, or how do you feel as a dragon?
I think it's all on time.
Okay.
As in even though certain things were prolonged excessively, but it was just the cherry on top. It just gave the opportunity to a few very, very courageous and opportunistic souls to come in at the very darkest hour, which is now. If you're alive now, you're one of them. To come in and experience the absolute very worst of the worst, and to be among the courageous souls that make sure the frickin' pirates do not wipe us out again.
Mhm.
And so we have support in all levels, but it's also a human thing. We have amazing ability to create.
Yes.
And so even with us saying no, if it's only one of us that says no with enough conviction, the whole process of wipeout and extermination is on halt. So
This is this is what I want to end with. This is so important because everyone, through their belief systems, they have the right for free will, whatever they think's going on. Most don't know, but whatever going on, they say, I can't, quote, I can't do anything about it anyway. Okay. So, what we're working with is getting people to remember their creators, right? And then when you're willing to be a creator, you're willing to take 100% responsibility. Doesn't mean you don't feel victimized, folks, or haven't. It's that you don't do victim anymore. Then you speak from the creator aspect by demanding and commanding with love and a lack of arrogance. That puts it into a holographic field, which changes your reflective holographic field as well as the collective. So the stronger soul you are, the more you know your creator, just like Amir said, you have a huge impact on reality. And much of what people are seeing of the chaos out there is not only that everything needs to fall because it was dysfunctional, but a reflection of people's confusion within their own head and projecting that outward. What do you think of that?
true. Even if there is one individual human incorporating a shard from a infinite soul that stands their ground and says no, that is sufficient. That holds the flood. No, it will not be.
Mm.
As you see, it requires all of us to vote, yes, let's fall. If there's one out there that says, not this time, that does it. It is not a unanimous vote. And that is our power. And so once we speak into existence that will to live well, that is it. We live well. And so there may be many around us that are still creating out of distortion and old programs, experiencing lack, suffering, challenge. The way forward is creating what you wish to be. And there is great ease and joy. It doesn't mean that you do not observe the suffering of others and that you're not affected by it, but you can do all you can to resolve this. At least in yourself, in your own energy, you are at peace.
Mhm.
No matter what happens outside, you experience bliss, connection to the beloved source, and of course, your access to the infinite reality. Uh, you don't require anything external for that internal joy.
But also beautifully said, and also the effect, because we've heard, and there's been so many Maharishi yoga experiments that came up with the percentage of how many people needed to be awake, which means you stay positive, you speak, you're true, you're into reality. And it's been everything from, 8% to 15% to 50%. And the it's almost like, this is really harsh for me to say, but it's almost like, unless you're willing, if you're bored with experience everything you're not, which was this opportunity here, a victim and everything we're not, and you step more into creator, even if you're a beginner at it, it feels new. And it's almost like, I feel like they're the ones that are listened to. They're the ones from higher up. You're like voting as a co-creator with a creation, and you're voting for the right reasons. You're not just voting so that your kid will survive or that this will survive because they have their own soul path. You're voting for the beneficence of all. Enough's enough. We have learned the lesson. Let's go. I no longer, and I say, I no longer vote for this person or this person. My vote is this, like, to start putting that more into the field. And so for have someone to say, actually, one person, when you think of Gandhi or a lot of people, one person making a difference of changing reality is hardly ever, ever been vocalized. And people really need to hear this because they've been trained to be so disempowered and so ineffectual.
Right, the herd mentality, the dumbing down of people, especially in mass. As individuals, they function and think relatively clearly, but then in mass, the behavior changes. This herd thing takes over, and so if nobody's doing anything, you say, "What can I do?" That is a distortion. The truth is that we are aspects of the beloved source of all things. With sufficient conviction, we can halt everything, say, "Oh no, this universe, this whole experiment, off it goes." And so that would be such a waste. No soul in their right mind would say, let's waste something so pristine and so beautiful. But yet it is within the realms of possibility. All those beings involved in the hierarchy of creation, the laws of the universe, the setup of the galaxies, creation of suns and planets, each and every one of them can pull the plug. Say, you know what? I don't like it. But none of them do. They're all invested in the creation of beauty and grace that is life. And so this has become a very successful and interesting story of success. The mighty humans are here.
That's so beautiful, Amir. Please share much of what you are sharing during the show, your incredible, accurate insights. Uh, you also share in your readings that you do. Amir is basically unlimited, folks. So he offers 4 sessions, but you could also probably be fluid within them. Who knows? And there's has many, many, many skills. He's very efficient and he's very quick, which I appreciate that. So tell people how to contact you, where they go, that kind of thing. And we'll have
Thank
your
you so much.
information up for you.
Much appreciated. I've got a website, wizardofwivenhoe.co.uk. I also have a presence on Facebook and YouTube with the same name, Wizard of Wivenhoe. Wivenhoe is where my awakening completed, or at least, let's say, reached a sufficient level, and the wizard was born. The journey of healing completed. I healed myself to a sufficient degree to be of value to others. So that's in the name. It's a dear place to me.
Oh, that
So I would be delighted to have the opportunity to work with each and every one of you wonderful ladies and gentlemen. Hit me up. Let's see if I can be of service to you.
Thank you so, so much, Amir. And right now, folks, we're planning on having a once a month show with Amir. If any of you have questions to ask him, you can email me at marilee@cosmicbrilliance.com, and I will do my best to include those in the show. Um, a lot of the, how do I say this? I so am impassioned and so appreciative of all of you learning and taking this education seriously. I know some of you said you have to watch all these things 3 times because of the previous program. But the benefits and the liberation, not just from me, but other channels, the benefit and the liberation that comes from having the overview, no matter how overwhelming at first that feels, actually gives you the oversight and wisdom to lose your fear and to move into the truth of your being. And then your whole life changes as a result of that. So, anyway, bless,
Beautifully said.
blessings, Amir. Thank you so
Blessings.
much.
And I would like to add something here that is only doing justice. My dear friend Marilee, you are one extraordinary soul, an extraordinary human being. Thank you for facilitating all of this. What you do, I'm certain, does not receive enough praise. And so, on behalf of all those that benefit from your wonderful work, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you very much and bless you.
Thank you, Amir. I'm having a blast. It's fun. Okay, onwards and upwards, folks. We're doing this, and in fact, we've already done it, but move into your co-creator creatorship and do not allow anything but your strong projections of what you want to create to come forth. And it's the best thing about the new generations is they're not going to put up with less. Okay? You're going to have to put them on tranquilizers and drugs if you want them to not live their truth. Period. Okay? That's so that's the point. They're coming in, they're not going to work at jobs they hate, they're not going to do that stuff they hate. They're here to do the shift, and it is so fun. And I look forward to the whole rebirthing that is coming out of this tremendous, experiment. And thank you so much for providing the wisdom so that we just don't think like all hell's breaking loose all the time, and we have the overview to go, okay, I get it. It is, and the numbers you've been able to share of 30 million resets, and holy moly, it's just, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So I thank you.
I'm,
Thank
I'm honored. Thank you so much for everything.
you. Okay, Amir. We'll see you soon, huh?
Yes, I look forward to it greatly.